What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis, inspiring everybody to feel better, look better, mostly feel better every damn day of their lives. And our Wednesday night show, presented by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar, and that's just north of Frandor on East Saginaw and Lansing, near the Lansing and East Lansing border. Terrific MSU game specials. 450 pints of Bell's, Ellison Founders shorts, $5 mugs of Miller Lite, Bud Light, Labatt, Spartan burgers, Spartan fries, MSU rolls, Spartan rolls. That's sushi and burgers. It's a modern American Asian menu. Fantastic stuff at Cask & Company and Front 43. And if you're looking for a place to go during the games, can't recommend it enough. Jason, how you doing, man?
Dude, you're like Dan Campbell of Live Reads. I was like ready to go to Front 43 right now.
Well, you know,
let's go. You're like naming stuff off.
Let's do it.
What was that politician that like he started naming like the states and stuff? He's like, yeah.
I couldn't.
Dean. Howard Dean. Remember him?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
That's what you sounded like.
I could not remember enough people's names to ever be a politician. Ever need to know. People would come up to me who I met like a week ago. I'd be like, hey, man. Oh,
you would be a better lawyer, though, because you can spin pretty much anything. And like I've said, like when Teresa and I watch these Datelines, I'm like, man, how is this lawyer going to spin this defense? And I think that you would have been perfect at that.
If the law didn't matter, I could spin lots of shit if the legal part of it didn't matter. Like I could make
like
it
lawyers care though.
I could make it sound good, but legally it wouldn't hold up to anything.
Just Graham enters the courtroom.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they would say.
Anyway.
So we got what I think is going to be a fun show today. I always say that even when it's not. What? No?
Who knows?
Yeah. A few things to get into. First of all, we're going to have Andy Greder from the St. Paul Pioneer Press with us, who covers Minnesota, and we're going to talk about the Gophers and what this team is and try and get a sense of how MSU is going to fare against Minnesota this week. We'll have Harry Gagnon on, and we'll pick the games in a little bit, which I'm looking forward to.
We have to have an intervention with Harry.
With the
I
Vikings.
mean, he keeps no. It's not even that anymore. It's the Tigers. He can't stop betting.
Buenos tardes.
This is the reason to play that.
Detroit Tigers gambling update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
But he does these picks, and he like will text me. He's like, I can't believe it. I bet on the Tigers again or against the Tigers. He's like, whichever way he picks, it goes the opposite way. I'm like, dude, football's here. Like, how bad you need a fix? I know you're a part of the degenerate trifecta. And by the way, I'm never betting on another sport that involves judges. MMA, boxing, any of that shit.
Ice skating.
Well, that wasn't going to happen anyway. Disney on Ice. MMA last night. We went and watched Teresa's son trains one of the UFC guys that was in the Dana White Contender UFC series last night. So they had a party for Mando Gutierrez. So it was fun watching him. But anyway, he was plus 145, and I'm like,
I'm very aware. I was on it.
I know, and I apologize for that. But, I mean, listen, he got screwed last night, fought an unbelievable fight. They scored at 30-26 all 3 rounds, which was ridiculous. I don't know. I don't know, like, UFC scoring and all that shit, but you can tell when someone isn't getting dominated. The kid that he was fighting was 17 years old, and they want to push him as a young champion, and I get all that. But anyway, it was fun to be like on the inside. I didn't know any inside knowledge whatsoever, but I thought I would share, because how Dominic gives you shit for not sharing it on Twitter and stuff. So, of course, I share it with you and Dominic and Harry, and it didn't win. But it was just bullshit. I'm sitting there like walking out, and there's a little bit of the gambler spite inside of you, but I'm going like, did they score that right? Is this fixed? And then, boxing, you can't bet that at all, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't bet.
Go anyway.
I wouldn't routinely bet a fighting sport. I'd do it for fun if I was going to be watching it.
Well, UFC. Match. Listen, last night it was fucking electric, though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
watching it and having money on it, man, holy hell!
I used to think UFC. What made it great was that they just fought until somebody tapped out. Like I didn't even know there were judges.
Well, back in the early days of it.
I mean, that to me is a sport I would bet on because it's obvious. There is no judging. Somebody eventually just gives up.
I was yelling like Will Tiemann during it last night. Like Mondo got him in like this chokehold. I'm like, I saw my bet cashing. I'm like, I was like sitting there yelling. I'm making noises I didn't know I had. Anyway, it's fun. It just bums you out that these guys fight their hearts out, and it comes down to judges and narratives and all that shit. But anyway.
Well, yeah, and speaking of the Tigers bets, we do have a little Tigers talk to get into. I want to do some MSU football on that as well. But, I mean, the Tigers are actually exciting this week, and I thought about having a Tigers guest. I don't know if our
Castellani
listeners are there. I would like to have Castellani on. At some point.
Make your dream come true.
He's really good.
Doug will have to do the show.
He's really good. You're just not. I don't know what your hate is for.
I don't hate Chris Castellani. I've dealt with him before, and it's whatever.
I think his analysis is superb.
It may be. I mean, that's fine. You enjoy different things, Girls 5 Eva and other stuff. So, I mean, is it big news, though? I mean, as a Tigers fan, is that exciting? I think watching this team as bad as they are right now?
Guy they got, Scott Harris, the new GM.
Did you know who he was before he was hired?
Absolutely not.
Right.
But
he's young.
I rarely know. I didn't know who the Lions. I didn't know Brad Holmes. I didn't know. You rarely
Bob
know.
Quinn. I didn't know much about him either.
Right. You rarely know the guy who's like the assistant GM or the number 2 guy of any organization that gets hired. He is young, but he also sounds impressive. Like he sounds like. Here's what I liked about him. In the presser, there was a lot of no bullshit. It was kind of like they ask him what you think of the farm system, and he's like, I better not comment on that.
Right.
Like, okay.
But you're a new guy coming in. You could say that.
Right. What I mean, though, but it was clear in his tone. He's like, this farm system sucks, and I'm here to change it. It was clear.
I'm surprised Chris Ilitch didn't say that.
I mean, it was very clear that he is going to have some direct and frank conversations with people, and that came across really well. And that I love the bit about needing to be able to take risks. And they're going to have to take risks to improve the roster. I'm looking forward to
I know he's 35 years old. Theo Epstein likes him. That's all I know. That's all I care about. Right?
Yeah.
And like you said, he was transparent. He said that Ilitch was going to let him spend money. I don't know if that's true or not, but hey, why not?
I like the move.
You can't hate the move.
How could
you hate the move, though?
You can't hate a move.
I know the Giants. He came from what? The Giants?
Yeah, they won 107 games last year. And
what's their record this year?
That's not as good. But that happens. And then, well, they play in a fucking igloo. I mean, San Francisco in the summer is like the worst place on earth. But that's just my own take. As somebody who's visited San Francisco in July,
a hot take. You should have saved that for Sunday.
In July, like twice. It's awful. Anyway, I would want to get out of there in baseball. Like, it's a great place in the fall. Great place to like cover the Warriors. Like, I can't even imagine wanting to live there in the summer.
How is it different than here in the summer, though?
Oh, it's cold as shit, man.
Oh,
it's so cold.
Wouldn't that be? I figured that would be in your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
you love that.
Too cold and windy,
dude. You're too weird. Like, I would figure you would love San Francisco weather, right? Like, I'm with you a little bit on that. I like the 70s. I don't like the heat.
San Francisco in the summer is like 30s and windy, man. It's the worst.
Oh,
it's awful. It's
like downtown Lansing in like December.
And to live there costs like 46 times what it costs to live here. And it's going to be 30 and windy. Like, I do not get San Francisco. Like, I've been to San Francisco. There are elements that I like.
It's great. Yeah.
I do not get wanting to live there. How could you want to pay that much for that? Anyway, I don't understand it at all. I don't understand. Like,
I love when you have a passion for something so meaningless.
I don't understand being poor in the Bay Area.
I'm with you. I don't understand being poor in L.A.
Like, if you,
why would you want to live there? It's a shithole now.
Yeah, if you have like a cheap apartment that's costing you $2,000 a month, come here and buy 2 houses. You know, like I do
or
not
a loft in downtown Lansing, apparently.
Well, whatever.
It's the same.
But whatever. Just don't. Yeah,
I talk to the mayor about that.
I don't understand that. We're going to talk quite a bit of MSU football here, and obviously we're going to do
wall to wall
here in a minute. The things that have happened since we last talked. I mean, Mel Tucker's had a press conference. They've had Peyton Thorne, Jay Johnson, and the things that I've taken out of this week. Well, number one, I think the thing that's going to infuriate everybody is Mel Tucker basically said it's not scheme, right? People want it to be scheme. And I think the problem, and we talked about this before, it is, and it may be true that if everybody plays the scheme perfectly and plays the scheme well, that it's not the scheme. But if you don't have the dudes to play the scheme, and that's the question, then even if the dudes are doing it wrong, it is also partly the scheme, right?
It's about coaching the dudes into different players, though, right? Like the 3 stars that you turn into 4 and 5 stars. Is that happening as well? Like,
well, and
I don't know if anyone's just blaming just the scheme.
And it's one game, and I one of the reasons I held off on a couple of the column ideas I had for this week, I feel like we've sort of beaten that game up. Let's see the response against Minnesota. I think this is
Hazelton
a really important
on the hot
game.
seat? Question mark.
That wasn't the column, but it was part of what I talked about Sunday, and I may get into that more later if they lose again or whatever, and sort of the vibe that we're getting, which is the price of being paid. Right.
But if you did that column, would you be overreacting? I mean, that's everyone's kind of thought process, and that's what we want is to hear
fair.
about what we're thinking, right? I mean, it's not.
I'm doing a column on PJ Fleck, a one-on-one with PJ Fleck.
Rowing the boat.
Yeah, no, just about, it's going up tonight, but it's been.
Did you talk to him?
Yeah, this has been his first.
Does he know that you hate him?
I don't hate PJ Fleck.
Dude.
You think I hate PJ Fleck?
You've went off on him on this show.
I'm not saying I haven't loved.
Please, listeners that have a better memory than me, so everyone, tell me that PJ Fleck was not getting hammered by Graham Couch either last year or this year.
I don't love the elite bowel movement stuff, like everything's elite. I've never loved that. But it's
elite, but what?
What I mean,
said that?
No, but everything's elite. Like, and I always joke that like even your bowel movements, if you play for PJ Fleck, are elite.
If you're gonna call a shit elite, you're not gonna call it a bowel movement,
right? But anyway, no, it was interesting talking to him because I spoke to him when he got that job. I spoke to him in 2015 when MSU was playing there for quite a while. I remember talking to him in 2016 when they were on that run. And you just listen to a guy. He's 41. He's basically our age.
He's a man.
You listen to a guy, right? You listen to a guy who just sounds different. He sounds seasoned. He sounds like a guy. I mean, there's just a lot less of that stuff. Like he said elite once, right when I asked him how he was doing. He said, I'm elite.
Elite, I guess.
Elite,
I guess we're elite.
But nothing else was a saying. Everything else, and he was very, because basically that was his first game ever as a head coach the last time he was at Spartan Stadium. So I wanted to do a column on that, like coming back 9 years later, the first time you were ever there was your first game as a head coach, and just sort of the growth and all that stuff. And you can just hear. I mean, he's very frank about the things he didn't know. I think it'll be a good column for people. So anyway, I chose
I'm
to do
sold.
that.
Here's my $11.99.
Thank you.
Give me that password.
Thank you. The one thing I wanted to get into quickly before we do an interview here is I went back and watched the game, and the one positive I took away from it is I thought Peyton Thorne was better than I even thought when I watched it live. Like when I watched that second half, I thought he was really good. And I didn't leave that game, and I don't know why, if it was because of the way the game had unfolded. And in real time, when you're sort of watching a game be a disaster, you're kind of like, everybody's just average at best. But if you just sort of separate, that offense really didn't have a great opportunity on the field. There were a lot of things that went wrong in that first half. I don't think were on him at all. You had, the miscommunication with Jarek Broussard. You had, Broussard falling in the end zone. There were a number of things, and I thought he played a really, really not just gutsy but good second half. And I think that's promising.
You're just thinking that because I mean, like he was one of the lone bright spots that, especially in our hot takes, that people were like, Peyton Thorne was good. Hazelton's ass. Yeah. Number 3, defense's ass. Peyton Thorne was really good.
That's yeah. I mean, I thought he was good. He was better than I thought when I watched it back.
Yeah.
Like my memories live. And I think it had a lot to do with how the game was.
And it's a tough thing to do in the moment, right, when the team's not playing well, to kind of isolate what you're thinking about one guy, even though he was the kind of the only bright spot.
But I think it's an important bright spot.
Yeah.
And so it'll be, obviously there's a lot of things they need to get better at to have a good season.
We need those bright spots on defense, though.
Yeah, but
needs to happen.
A week earlier there was a lot of worry about the quarterback, and I think a lot of that's been solved. And one of the interesting things Thorne said to me this week, I asked him about his connection with Keon Coleman. And Thorne is being careful not to say it. But he was happy with where it's going. And it's very clear that a lot of those missed targets and missed throws against Akron and earlier in the season with Keon, I think were Keon's fault. Like, you can tell Thorne is not saying it, but it's in the tone. I'm starting to learn Peyton Thornese. And it's
Peyton blink twice if it was Keon's fault.
And he's just like, yeah, we weren't really connected. Like, it's the way he says it. He's not going to blame the guy, but it's like this guy turned his route 2 steps early and the ball looks like an overthrow, and it's not. I mean, like that. I think that stuff is becoming clear, and that connection was really.
Do you think
important.
playing away from home though helped that was beneficial to him? I know he won't say it. No one will ask him probably, but I mean, getting away from the home crowd a little bit.
I do think it's helpful. I think it's helpful for him to come back to the home place after playing the game he played last week. Now, the defense, however, will feel if things start going wrong in the passing game or in the pass defense, or if they can't run the football again, there will start to be some surliness in the stadium, some restlessness, I think. But for Thorne getting away from it, I think was important, and having a game like that. I don't think anybody, comes back with questions about whether he's the guy at quarterback or anything like that. I don't think that stuff exists. Let's take a really quick break here. We come back. We'll talk to Andy Greder from the St. Paul Pioneer Press and get into the Gophers in this matchup. Couch in the Rue, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Front 43 in Cask & Company.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American-Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
It's time now for our Couch in the Rube interview of the week, presented by Hopcat. Best damn beer bar, world-famous Cosmic Fries, mouth-watering, award-winning burgers, including the Peyton Thorne burger. And one of the cool things they do there is each location has carefully curated craft beer featuring local partners. So if you're at the Grand Rapids or East Lansing or Ann Arbor or Indianapolis, Hopcat, you'll feel like you're at a local bar, tons of TVs to watch the game and grab a pint with friends. Very happy now to be joined by Andy Greder from the St. Paul Pioneer Press. He covers the Gophers, and a man after my heart covers Minnesota United FC, which basically we're just going to talk soccer for the next half hour and screw everything else, because that's where I really want to be. Jason, you cool with that?
Yeah, I'll just be over here sleeping.
Okay,
you guys go ahead.
Excellent. Now that would be that's the show I would love to do, but I do think most of our listeners are want to know more about the Gophers.
Sure.
But first of all, thanks for joining us. And what's your sense of this Minnesota team at this point? Like, for me, a lot of things look really good.
Yeah.
Their competition doesn't. Even Colorado looked pretty awful, and so. I mean, like, and from a Michigan State standpoint, they had a game where you got to learn about them last week, and not everything was good you learned about them. What do you think? Where do you think Minnesota truly is?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, we still don't know the answer to that. I think you play New Mexico State, which is probably one of the, if not the worst overall FBS school in the country. You look at Colorado, which might be one of the worst Power 5 schools in the country, and you've got Western Illinois, which is a rebuilding FCS school. And all three of those teams got steamrolled by the Gophers. But we're not quite sure what the Gophers are because they haven't played anybody. It's kind of like Michigan State was a week ago. Things were looking good after beating Western Michigan and Akron, and you're riding high, and you think you're going to, go into Washington and play well, and you're a ranked team, and you think you know what you are, but you don't. And that's what it turns out to be. And I think that's where the Gophers are right now. We're not quite sure what they are or what they can be. Obviously, they've taken care of business in very convincing fashion, but I think a lot is yet to be seen of how good this team is.
It's obviously a veteran team, and I want to start on offense because I think like Michigan State against the pass has not been great. Against the run we'll see, and I know with Mohamed Ibrahim that they've got a great back, but I'm wondering, Tanner Morgan with his old offensive coordinator back loses his top wideout, but it's still a pretty it's still a pretty veteran crew. I'm wondering, what is this passing attack, and how much has the coordinator change made a difference?
Yeah, I think you see a quarterback that is very, very confident in what he's doing, very comfortable, very poised. He certainly had a lot of time to throw, which helps. I think when he's been under pressure, like any quarterback, things can go awry. But he's been very, very good. And I think there is a strong comfort factor with having Kirk Shiraka back after 2 years away. The last time they were together was 2019, and the Gophers were within a whisker of going to the Big Ten championship game, and they beat Auburn in the Outback Bowl, and they upset Penn State that season. And they had two NFL wide receivers, Rashad Bateman and Tyler Johnson, and they don't have that now. Chris Almond-Bell was their bell cow. He had a quarter of their targets. He was their leading pass catcher, leading guy in receptions and yards, and was really the guy that kind of stirred the drink for this offense. But, yeah, they've got other guys around there that have been in the system for a couple of years, and I think it's going to be a by-committee approach to how they're going to have to respond to losing their number one. But you see a quarterback that is obviously very experienced. I think he's got 42 starts now in his sixth year, has his coordinator back that he had success with, and you're seeing a very advanced type of way they go about things.
Is Ibrahim the player he was? I mean, the injury he had, some guys never truly come back the same from with the Achilles deal. Is he look like the same back?
Yeah, he does. He really does. And I think that was a big question mark going into the year, just rupturing his Achilles after playing very, very well against Ohio State in the opener a year ago. Was he going to be the same type of running back? He never had or will have kind of breakaway, top-notch speed. But what he does have is excellent vision and an ability to make, very smart, sound cuts. And he's all of 5'8", 220 pounds. And I think he's got 300 yards after contact this year in 3 games. He's been averaging 5 yards a carry after contact this season. It's just been amazing to see what he can do. And he looks every bit of the running back that won Big Ten Running Back of the Year in 2020. He's on the verge. His next touchdown is going to set the program record for rushing touchdowns. He's been a historic back, and he looks every bit of what he was a couple years ago.
Defensively, it's a really experienced group. I'm wondering how talented it is, though. That's what I can't figure out from this group. Like, is it? And it's hard. Again, when the opponents they played, it's hard to tell. I mean, they haven't generated a ton of sacks or a ton of turnovers at this point. But it's so hard to say, well, that's the identity. And sometimes people, the other thing is defenses don't show everything when they're dominating opponents like that too. So you don't really know what they're facing. What's your sense of this group?
Yeah, I mean they're very talented in the back end. I think when you look at Saturday, the matchup is going to be Michigan State's wide receivers versus the Gophers secondary, and this secondary has played a lot of football, is very, very talented. I think both their safeties have a chance to play in the NFL. They've got a all Big Ten freshman cornerback. They've got another cornerback who's playing his best football after having a couple up and down years. So in the back, they're very, very sound, and that creates an opportunity to bring more pressures. And we haven't seen a ton of that, like you said, just given their opponents and wanting to keep things under wrap for when it really matters. But, yeah, I think up front they had to replace 6 of their top 8 snap counts along the defensive line, and their best pass rusher, Boye Mafe, was taken 40th overall by the Seahawks. He's gone, and they've created some pressures, but they haven't had the amount of sacks that they want to have. I think where this team is on the defensive line is really yet unproven. They've got a linebacker who's been around a long time in Mariano Marin, who really leads this team and has played a lot of football. But defensive line, I think we're still waiting to see what they can be against a Big Ten type opponent.
What I want to ask you about Fleck. Like, what is the sense of him there? Like, what? I mean, he was obviously a huge deal hire. He's had good success there. But obviously, what he did at Western, I think, created the hope that you'd win huge. What is sort of the vibe around him and the way people think of him there?
Yeah, I mean, this is a program that has not had a lot of success historically. So the fact that they're in the conversation to win the West, every other year is what it's been at this point, is a success. I think he's very well liked and appreciated here. He certainly has an identity on how he wants to play, and his teams show that. I think obviously you guys in Michigan know the success that he had at Western, and people nationally or people around the Big Ten kind of look at him and say, oh, he's tries to be a hot shot, and he's got his slogans, and he kind of makes it about himself sometimes, and it's really kind of vain in a way. I think people look at it, but that's not how his teams play. His teams are very hard-nosed, very physical, very tough, very fundamentally sound, do not beat themselves, don't turn the ball over, don't penalize themselves, and that's what you see week in and week out. They've been right on the cusp of winning the West. In 2019 and 2021, they were right there, and it was kind of a one game. They don't get over the hump, and then they lose out on tiebreakers or what have you. So they've been right kind of there, and that's why this year is big for them, because they feel like they've got the talent and the experience to get over that hump. And I think the West has shown itself to be there for the taking. So I think it's really an opportune time for him to, like I said, get over that hump and kind of not just be the team that's, oh yeah, they have a good season and they're kind of in it, but can they get over the hump? And I think the big thing for this team, and this isn't really about this week, but PJ's 0 for 5 against Iowa, and that's really where the kind of ceiling has been for him, is he hasn't been able to beat the Hawkeyes. He's beaten Wisconsin, and they've won 2 out of the last 4 against them, and that's huge around here. But not having, Floyd Rosedale, the 100-pound pig with the rival to the south, really rubs people the wrong way. And like I said, just getting over the hump and beating Iowa and winning the West is kind of that next step.
This is a big week, though, in terms of their hopes, right? I mean, when you look at the schedule, a couple road games against the East at Penn State and at Michigan State could ultimately determine whether they have enough wins to do it. And obviously schedule can make a huge deal. Whether somebody, they finished, who knows what Nebraska will be in November, Northwestern at home, and really then it's the Iowa-Wisconsin games at the end of the year. If you had to pick somebody, do you think they've made themselves, especially with Iowa's offensive struggles, are they the favorite right now in the West?
I would think so. I think it was a really fluky, funky game that Wisconsin had against Washington State that probably isn't indicative of what Wisconsin has been or will be. I think they'll get a lot of those things cleaned up. Purdue, I think, was kind of a dark horse, but I don't think they did themselves any favors in losing the way that they did at Syracuse last week. I think you can look at Purdue's loss to Penn State and say, okay, that's not a bad loss, but I think the Syracuse one is. So, I think in a roundabout way, I do think it's there for the Gophers to take. Like you said, this is a massive game, a place that they haven't gone to under Fleck. They haven't gone to them even in a few years of the Jerry Kill era. It's been a long time, 2013, as you guys know, that it's tough to go on the road. It's tough to go to a place you've never been before. Obviously, Fleck has been there with his staff at Western, but nobody here at Minnesota has been there. And I think they're trying to prepare for a road environment that they think is going to be very difficult. And, they've they've struggled in Big Ten openers under Fleck. They've only won 1 out of 5. But yeah, this is, like you said, this one is massive, and then the whiteout game in Happy Valley is the other big one. And then you have Rutgers as the other crossover. But I think when you look at other West teams and who they have as their crossovers, the Gophers have a lighter load without Michigan or Ohio State on the schedule.
They're 3-point favorites this week. Is that line about right? What are you picking? What do you see?
Yeah, I think it's been funny or interesting to see the line move. You know, I thought it opened in favor of Michigan State and then moved to the Gophers. You know, they've been interesting in the fact that, you know, they've covered in all 3 of their games this year with massive spreads. You know, I think it was 35, 36 in the first 2 games, and 4 touchdowns last week. So they've been good against the spread, and I think that it's, this week I really think it's going to be, are they going to be, when they get forced into third down situations, when Mo is stopped against what on paper looks like a good rush defense, do they have the go-to guys on third down to be able to get the conversions? Brevin Spanford is number 2 in targets. He's a massive tight end who they've been praising for a number of years, and looks like he's really putting it together. Do they go to him? Do they go to Dalen Wright, who's another big target at 6'3", wide receiver, who's shown some flashes but hasn't been consistent? Do they have that connection on third down to be able to get those big conversions when they need it most, or is that going to be missing in a crucial week? I think is going to be interesting. The Gophers defense was top 10 in the nation last year and have really been lights out this year as well. So I think the standard there is that they're going to play really well, especially in the back end. So, yeah, I mean, I think the Gophers will probably cover, 3 points at this point. I think they cover that. I think my prediction is going to be something around 27-23, something along those lines. But, yeah, I mean, like I said at the top, I'm not quite sure exactly what this team is going to be because they haven't been tested yet.
All right, last thing before I get out of here. We do a lot of gambling on this show, and I got to say, Minnesota United has been – there was a minute in the middle of the year where they beat Austin, and I'm forgetting somebody else they beat in the middle of in August. I want to say it was whoever. Oh, it was Austin and Nashville on the road, I think. Made a little money off them, was feeling real good. When they come back from the international break at San Jose on October 1st, and I know they need wins to get into the playoffs. Is this a smart play? Minnesota at San Jose on October 1st.
Oh, I don't know how you bet on MLS, man, just given the parity of this league.
I'm a degenerate, but I thank you. Yeah.
risky stuff to do. This team has been so hot and cold. I mean, they were one of the worst teams in May and June, the absolute best in July and August, and now they lost one of their key defenders and have been, shipping in goals defensively and haven't been able to score offensively. So I'm probably stay away from them. Obviously, Reynoso will be back, and Robin Lod will be back, I believe, and they're going to need it desperately. San Jose has pretty much mailed it in at this point. But, this Minnesota team has been so hot and cold, and they've currently been cold. So if I were you, maybe stay away from it.
I'll fade that. Yes, I appreciate it. Andy Greder, I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you this weekend in East Lansing. Safe travels.
Yep, thanks a lot. Take care.
That's Andy Greder from the St. Paul Pioneer Press, and that was our Couch in the Roof interview of the week presented by Hopcat. Go to Hopcat. I still can't pronounce Hopcat.
Hopcat Hot Takes.
It's Jesus. It's Hopcat.com for location information. You know the one in East Lansing, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo. They're all throughout the state.
Why'd you have to ruin the end of that, though?
Sorry, with the soccer thing?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm like, oh, man, he's actually giving a score? Because some of those guys are just like, I don't give scores.
What was your takeaway before I ruined it with soccer about that?
Listen, it's pretty simple, I think. Can Michigan State get to Tanner Morgan? If they can, I think they can win. If they can't, I think he tears them apart and Michigan State loses.
I think if they lose to Minnesota because they can't stop the pass, it's a big problem. It's going to be a long season. Because when you can say you're going to do – it's a nice thing to say doing something by committee, a receiver by committee. But when you don't have dudes, that's what you say. When you have a top receiver and you lose him, it makes a difference. And there are some other talented guys there. I've watched them play enough to know that they're not. It's not just like they don't have anybody.
But it's
else.
not scheme though. So they have dudes. It's not scheme, or they don't have dudes.
And they have a coordinator who's worked well with Tanner Morgan. And again, as he brought up, they played maybe the worst team in college football, and then they played the worst Power 5 team in Colorado maybe in college football. So they have played an awful schedule, and not of their own fault. When they scheduled Colorado, Mel Tucker's probably there at the time. Like they don't even know what they're going to be. They wound up being absolutely awful this year. And so I believe intent in scheduling matters. But still, we have no idea exactly what they are. If Michigan State had played Colorado at home last week, I think we'd be singing a very different tune about Michigan State right now. So we don't know exactly what they are. They do have a great running back.
So after all that, we don't know.
Well, we were never going to know. I mean,
we can act like we know.
Opposing beat writers often pick the team they cover. I mean, sometimes
not
not
the
always.
Akron Zips one. Oh wait.
We didn't do that.
Shunned them, apparently.
Yeah. I don't think they have a beat writer. Anyway, I don't leave that thinking a whole lot differently than I did going into the game, that it's just a massive game. It's a massive game for both teams, but it's a massive game for MSU.
Did the line shift, though? Like Andy said, I don't think it shifted. Is he talking about the Washington game?
I think he saw a line before the Washington
Yeah, but Circa
game.
comes out with their wacky kind of line on Sunday morning, I think, but even then it hasn't moved.
Well, no, but there were
some
of the lines. So, like, there are places like DraftKings that will do. You could bet the MSU-Minnesota game last week before like a week early.
Okay,
they had a line for a while, and I think Michigan State was like a 1 point.
So,
favorite.
Andy, don't look at those lines.
Yeah, that's not really a real line because it's not reacting to now. It would have been good if you were looking to get on Minnesota. That would have been a good time to get it, obviously.
True.
But that's not really the line moving based on action. That's the line moving based on results and being sort of reset. I don't know where my pick's going to go yet. I really don't. And
well, you better hurry up because
I got like a day.
Harry's coming on soon here.
Well, yeah, no. My LSJ pick. Harry will talk me into something, and I probably will take Michigan State against the with the
spoiler alert.
Yeah. Let's take a really quick break. When we come back, Harry Gagnon, and we'll dig into the Michigan State game, the Michigan game, and the Lions and other NFL games. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Front 43 and Cask Company.
Hopcat exists at the intersection of great beer and delicious food, complemented by music, art, community, and comfort. Home to a best-in-class beer experience served by craft beer experts. Guests can expect a casual, inviting local gathering place with some of the best damn burgers and fries you'll find in Michigan. Hopcat is proud to be an official sponsor of Peyton Thorne. Show your Spartan pride by ordering the iconic Peyton Thorne burger, created by the man himself. There is no better place to watch any Michigan State game other than the 50-yard line at Spartan Stadium. Stop by any of our locations: East Lansing, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, and Holland. To plan your next trip to Hopcat, visit hopcat.com. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find our live stream, podcast archives, as well as show, affiliate, and sponsorship information at our website, SpotlightMediaStudios.com.
All right, Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Front 43 and Cask & Company. It is time now to pick the games brought to you by our friends at Firekeepers and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. And to do that, of course, we have our good friend Harry from Against All Odds with cousin Sal, bestbetcorner.com and extrapoints.com. Harry, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's everything?
Harry, this is an intervention, though, where all your friends are here. We love you, but stop betting the Tigers or anyone that's playing the Tigers. Just stop it. We love you, man. You can do this.
I got to be able to get a Tigers game right at some point, either betting with or against. I mean, it shouldn't be that difficult, should it?
It's my favorite text of the day, though.
I mean, we're all watching football, and I'm hitting Jason with stupid texts about the Tigers blowing it 1 year, whatever, you know?
I'm like, why are you doing that to yourself?
Jason would probably rather have texts from you, Graham, talking about your soccer.
Whoa.
Hey.
Let's not get too crazy.
Yeah.
Graham brought up soccer during the interview we just had, so he had to bring it down. So
Yeah.
It is true.
It is crazy.
I will be in on, like, everybody else is watching Sunday Night Football, and all of a sudden I've got 50 on a Mexican soccer game at 10 p.m., and I'm like, I'm over there, you know. With the football be damned.
They play those late, by the way. Those Mexican soccer games.
Oh,
it's
outstanding.
It's Harry knows the schedule.
Yeah.
You're looking for anything to bet, and 9 Pacific time starting. Okay, let's go.
I'm going to tell you, if you've got to win it all back at the end of the week, it's Liga MX is the place to get it done. And you know,
shit, I was almost there this past Sunday.
Totally
Jason, give me a call. I'll let you know where
I might need that.
I'll let you know what we're riding. And
NFL's brutal.
Yeah, no, it's although soccer can be heartbreaking too, so it can be frustrating. All right, Harry, let's dig into some of these games this week. A slate of NFL games that I don't know. There's some stuff I like. It's not the best slate already, but there are some decent games. Let's start here. Bills -5.5 at the Dolphins, and I know the Dolphins just had this big comeback week, and the Bills are everybody's darling right now and look like a fantastic team. It's a road game in Miami. But the Bills have become the old Chiefs. You give me anything inside of a touchdown right now until I'm proven otherwise, I'm on the Bills. Jason, where are you?
See, I'm with you, but it just seems like one of those trap games. I think it's a fade for me, fellas. But if I'm going to pick, I got to say, give me the Dolphins at home with the points. What is it, 5.5?
Smart. Go against the public. It's smart.
Yeah, I'm saying Hill and Waddle and Tua. And I understand the Bills played the Titans. They were a complete ass. That's gambling related. But I'm just saying, I just give me the points for the home dogs. What do you got, Harry?
I'm going to go with Graham. I'm taking the Bills, too.
I can't fault you guys.
Listen, maybe Tua's the real deal. Maybe Sunday was a fluke. I'm not sure. All I do know is the Bills' offense is spectacular, and Diggs is on a mission, and Allen has been tearing it up, and he's had a history of ripping up the Dolphins when he plays. Until I see otherwise from the Bills, I just can't go against them. Can't do it. Taking Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
All right, next game. The soon-to-be Super Bowl-bound Detroit Lions +6 at your Minnesota Vikings, and I'm going to help you own the Vikings right now.
This is Harry's Super Bowl.
Yeah, Harry's Super Bowl. Lions, Vikings. Look, the Lions look. I mean, the Lions just look better than they usually do last week. So there's a lot of hope going on right now.
They really do.
The Vikings, though, are back at 1 o'clock, so this should be a game where Kirk Cousins can actually perform at an NFL level. Still probably a pretty good team, and I'm not willing to write them off after that last week. But I'm not. I just can't bet Kirk Cousins. And I know the Vikings usually destroy the Lions, and I know I'm going to lose this bet, but I don't give a shit. Take my money, Firekeepers. I'm taking the Lions +6. Jason, where are you?
Like you said, Kirk Cousins does like to play at home, and crazy stat, Harry. I think he's like 2 and something primetime games, like 2 and 20 something. It's not in prime time. I hate to say this, but I like Minnesota. It's only -6. Give me Minnesota at home. What do you got?
Yeah, my man Cousins was awful versus Philly on Monday. The Lions played Minnesota tight both times last year. Detroit looks good on offense. I'm not so sure about defense. So I think the Vikings get back to basics, like you said, Graham. They play the early game, back to what Cousins is customarily good at. And I think the Vikings win this going away at home by double digits.
Now, does that have anything to do with your prediction that the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl, or you really feel that way?
No, I just still think that Lions coming off a high in their game. Boy, they're very impressive with the offense. I mean, Swift has been fantastic. I think Brown has been great. But I just think I think overall here, though, Minnesota, too much offense to get back at it. Had just that bad Monday night, one loss, back at it, Minnesota, and I think they take care of Detroit.
All right, Chiefs +6 at the Colts. And this is one that
-6.
It's -6 at the Colts. Sorry, Chiefs -6 at the Colts. This is one where, the only reason to take the Colts is to fade the public. And the Colts have been just dreadful. The question is, and I think we find out in this game, is are the Colts, what we've seen the first 2 weeks, are they truly awful? Is this it? Did they miss their window by not having a quarterback, and now they got to start over, and they're 10 years away from a Super Bowl, and the worst thing in the world is to live in Indianapolis? Is it that, or are they still a decent team? Is there some fight? I'm going to take the Chiefs, so I'm not taking. I've just seen too much from the Colts in the first 2 weeks. Even on the road, -6.5 with all the public money. I'm okay. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I've seen this line jump around a little bit, but I don't know if Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be back. Harry, Matt Ryan has looked terrible so far this year. And like you mentioned, I mean, the 6.5 until you see a little 7.5. I love this Chiefs -6.5. What do you got?
Yeah, look, I don't love this game at all. I think KC was very fortunate versus the Chargers to pull that one out. And he might catch Kansas City at the right time here, looking ahead to the following week, Sunday night versus Tampa Bay. Matt Ryan, let's go. Come on.
Don't outthink yourself, though.
Let's go. Come on. I know, right? But I don't love this, but I will take the Colts with the points. Come on, Colts.
And if you just fade the public, you're going to win most of your bets, right? That's the way to go.
But the Colts, though?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
the
not.
Chiefs?
The Colts may.
That
Colts,
offense?
Yeah. All right, last NFL game before we get to the college games. Packers +2 at the Bucks. I don't know really where to. First of all, the Bucks are going to be down, their top receiver, unless that appeal comes through, and I don't know where that is. It's in Tampa.
I thought I already saw that it's not going through.
It's not going through.
No way. You can't haul off and slug a guy
Yeah.
because you're protecting Tom Brady.
I did like his explanation to the refs that it's Tom Brady. What do you want me to do?
Right.
It's a good line.
Got to protect my guy.
It's a weird line here. I have not been overly impressed with the Packers, but I like the Packers defense quite a bit. And for whatever reason, I just have a hunch that the Packers get this done, and I'm probably going to stay away from it in real life. Jason, where are you?
If you like the Packers D, I love the Bucks D, and I'm getting points at home. I like Tom Brady just dinking and dunking it down the field, and the defense coming through. Low-scoring game. Give me the Bucks. What do you got here?
Yeah, I like the Bucks defense too. By the way, Rodgers' last 2 trips to Florida, I don't know what it is, humidity or whatever, 4 picks. And this year, so far through 2 weeks, Tampa Bay's defense has been spectacular. 13 points allowed. They forced 6 turnovers. They got 10 sacks so far through 2 games. Give me Tampa Bay.
All right. Anything else in the NFL that you really like, Harry?
I'll tell you this. I don't know what it is this week. First off, I like the Browns on Thursday night, laying the 4.5. Pittsburgh, 30th in total yards in the league, 30th in passing. Najee Harris, even though he had a nice season last year, the Steelers were still last in the NFL in rushing last year. This year, he's only getting 2.9 yards a carry, no Watt for a while right now. It crushes Pittsburgh trying to defend the number 1 running game in the NFL, which is Chubb and Hunt. So I like the Browns. And how about this? I really like a bunch of totals this week. How about this one? Philly and Washington, over 47. Philly was first in rushing last year. They're second already this year. First in total yards after 2 weeks, averaging 31 points a game. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are finally a 1-2 combo that Philadelphia, the fans, could be proud of. First time in 8 to 10 years they've had the solid 1-2 combo. And not for nothing, but Washington's defense is awful again, as we've seen in the first 2 weeks. And Carson Wentz, under the radar, has 7 touchdowns through 2 weeks. If you're a Washington fan, I tell you, Carson Wentz would have 2 touchdowns after the first 2 weeks. You take that in a heartbeat. Give me over 47, Philly, Washington.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Still Carson Wentz, though. I get it.
Yeah. No,
a lot of those came against Detroit last week.
I don't know.
Detroit's bend don't break D.
I mean, people. He had a chunk against. He had a chunk against Jacksonville too, and everyone's praising Jacksonville now that everyone's anointing Jacksonville as the AFC South winner now. Seems like.
All right, let's do some college games here. Michigan finally playing a Big Ten opponent, still home, because, going on the road would be a lot to ask. Maryland plus 16.5 at Michigan. What do you think?
Well, I've got.
Oh, sorry. I was supposed to go first, right? I totally lost that. I'm like,
sorry.
Let me go. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Harry. This is why I suck at this. I just threw that to you. I was like, I really wonder where Harry is on this, and I forgot to do my own pick. I am. I think Michigan is going to steamroll them. I do think that Maryland is not at that point this year where they've quit. SMU is, has more talent than maybe people are giving them credit for, especially one of their receivers. But the game that I thought their opener against Buffalo, they weren't that impressive for a while. I don't know. I still think Michigan is in another stratosphere and will win by 3-4 touchdowns here. So give me the Wolverines. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I just don't know. This is obviously a fade, but for our picks here, I just don't know what to think of this Michigan team, the Maryland team. But give me Maryland plus the 16 and a hook. Why not? What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, and this I had this game penciled in. I thought Michigan, when I went over my numbers, I thought they'd be a 19-point favorite. When I saw them less than 17, made me scratch my head a little bit here. I mean, Michigan's rolled it up against nobodies. Maryland kind of too, but Tua's quarterback, brother is a quarterback of this team. He's completing 77% of his passes so far. He's got 6 touchdowns. The Terps are averaging 40 points per game for their first 3. I'm gonna take the points too here. Maybe Michigan, puts up 45, but Maryland maybe puts up 30, 34 and gets the cover.
Wow. Okay. I feel Michigan pretty well there, but a lot of it is Maryland bias. And so that,
I just like that Harry says, I was going over my numbers. Like if I said something like that, people would just start laughing at me. Like, yeah, going over my numbers this morning.
Yeah, well, that's all right. CMU plus 28 at Penn State for all the Chippewas out there. I don't know. I just felt like
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, I felt like
you Chippewas out there.
I felt like saying that. This is a game where I think one of the hardest things to do is when everybody else in the world is back in Big Ten play. You've played Big Ten games. You just played Auburn. You played games that are more marquee games than this to step out and play a Mid-American Conference team. I think it's a hard game to get up for. I think CMU is a pretty good football team. It's at 4 touchdowns. I think Penn State's going to win this game, but I do not think this is some 50-3 steamroll here. Give me the Chippewas inside of 4 touchdowns. Jason, where are you?
Listen, this is a Central team that lost at home to South Alabama. And I know Franklin, it's tough to trust him, but Penn State rolls Central. What do you got here?
Yeah, I'm taking Penn State too. Sean Clifford has been just fine managing the offense. They have a freshman running back, Nicholas Singletary. He's averaging 11.1 yards a carry. Stud. And I think Penn State keeps rolling. I think they cover the spread fairly easily too.
All right, Minnesota -3 at MSU. And, I don't know what to trust with MSU. I think they'll be better than last week. I think they'll and if they're not, it's a big problem.
What did you guys, just curious, what did you guys think? I mean, they got down early and then made a little bit of a comeback, but boy, the defense wasn't there last week at all.
Their pass defense was dreadful. Now, a lot of that has to do with Michael Penix, and keep an eye on Washington and their matchups and that coaching staff and what they do. I mean, one of their Michigan State's players this week talked about everything I've ever said about that Kalen DeBoer and Penix combo, and they did this to Michigan State years ago, and he basically said, you get a second of a pass rush and the ball's gone and it's right where you just were. It's like they know what's coming before you. I mean, that's a sophisticated passing attack at a level that most aren't, and I don't think Minnesota's is. I think Minnesota may be a better team running the football. We'll find out. Minnesota just hasn't played anybody at this point. They're -3 on the road. I'm going to take. I would tell people to take the home dog. I wouldn't tell people to bet a lot on it. But give me Michigan State +3. But I would not bet the farm on it.
We talked about it earlier. If they can get to Tanner Morgan, I think Michigan State can win this game. I just don't know if I trust that. Give me Minnesota -3. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, I gave out under 7.5 for Michigan State.
Yeah, you did.
Had them penciled in losing to Washington, and I got them losing this one and not covering too. Tanner Morgan, 70% 72% of his passes have been completed. I know they haven't played anybody really Minnesota, but outscored their opponents 149-17. And I love this guy last year before he got injured the year before. He was unbelievable. The running back, like you said, Graham, I think the running game is a little bit better than Minnesota's. Yeah, Ibrahim has been fantastic. 7 yards to carry. He's already got 7 touchdowns this year. Give me the Gophers.
All right, Wisconsin plus 18.5 at at Ohio State. And this is where we start to find out a lot about both these teams, but how explosive really is Ohio State, where they weren't that explosive against Notre Dame. Wisconsin's, not a good defense. This is a big number, and I've gone back and forth here. I think this is the game that Ohio State kind of puts it together and pulls away and covers this, but I don't feel good about it. Jason, where are you?
As well, you shouldn't. Paul Christ plus Graham Mertz plus 18.5 equals no money in your casino bank account. Fuck that. Ohio State rolls Wisconsin. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking Ohio State too. 122 total points in the last 2 weeks, 3rd in the nation in total yards per game, and C.J. Stroud is just crazy good. I mean, what maybe like you mentioned, Graham, not such a great start for Ohio State against Notre Dame, and then Arkansas State actually held their own against Ohio State too. But last week was just a total roll job by Ohio State, and I think they do it again against the Badgers.
All right, game I kind of like here. And I know Cincinnati's pretty good. Cincinnati held their own, against a tough Arkansas team. Indiana, though, plus 17 at Cincinnati. I'm telling you the difference in talent on that side of the field, man to man, when they look, it ain't 17 points. I think the Hoosiers keep this relatively competitive. I'm not saying they win the game, but I don't see Cincinnati winning by 17. Give me the Hoosiers all day. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, they didn't cover last week, Cincy, that is, against Miami of Ohio. I know that was at Miami of Ohio, but I just, like you said, plus 17, Indiana. Give me that all day. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, I'll tell you guys, I was in Orlando watching the game, that Indiana game versus Western Kentucky. I was watching it with a buddy who had some action on Indiana, too, so I was rooting for him here. And I'll tell you, they really shouldn't have won that game, but they pulled it out. It was something else how they pulled that game out. I think that gives them plenty of momentum. I think this is too many points as well. Like you said, Graham, Cincinnati, we know, lost a ton of players from last year's squad. And look, Indiana is 3-0. They're averaging 30 points a game. Give me the Hoosiers of a 17.
All right, last game of the week, and another one I really like. Arkansas plus 2 at Texas A&M. And I like Arkansas a ton. I don't like A&M. And I know A&M beat Miami last week, but Miami's not that good right now. And the other thing is, I think Texas A&M is struggling to score. I mean, they're just offensively not very good at all. I think Arkansas better up front. I think Arkansas wins this game. They're getting 2 points. Give me the Hogs. Jason, where are you?
See, I could agree with you if this weren't at Texas A&M. I just think last week Van Dyke is still a good quarterback, and they shut him out. 20 incomplete passes, no touchdowns for him, Harry. I just think Texas A&M. I love Arkansas. I just don't like them on the road in this situation. Give me A&M. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, look, I know A&M doesn't have a tremendous offense, and they got tripped up a couple weeks ago against Appalachian State, but they have one of the best defenses in college football. They've yielded just 26 points total in 3 games. Arkansas beat Cincy by 7. South Carolina, who's bad, by 14. Last week struggled and scored a few touchdowns late to beat Missouri State by 11. Arkansas did. I think they're due for a loss here. I think A&M got their slip up against Appalachian State and now starts rolling.
Boy. Okay, well, I feel really
either
good.
Graham's going to be really, really right this week, or
yeah,
or he's going to be betting soccer on Sunday night.
Probably doing that. Yeah, I'll do that anyway. It'll be fun.
Harry, what time's that game on? 1 a.m.?
Hey, how about my butt? We gave out you had Man City, Graham. We gave out the over in that game. Came in easy.
We did. And once we get done with this dumbass international break, I'll have another parlay. Do you have a parlay this week, Jason? Or anything?
I don't have any. I was banking on you. I got nothing this week. Nothing in soccer.
Oh, I didn't know we were doing that still. I thought it was like a bad bit last year or something.
No,
I'll bring it back.
I loved when we did that last year. Let's get back at it.
All right. We'll bring it back starting next week. The soccer does this dumb thing where they're on international break, so there's no fun soccer. I mean, there's these international games that don't mean anything, but it's a shitty weekend in that sense. But they'll be back.
Jason's thinking you just said fun soccer. Jason's like, what's fun soccer?
It's impossible.
Wait till this show rolls into the World Cup. Oh, my God. It's going to be incredible.
God.
It's going to be
In
something.
Qatar.
It's going to be something.
I'm excited.
Harry, you're a beautiful man. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Harry.
Always, guys. Take care. Let's hit something.
That's the great Harry Gagnon. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
That was fun. We appreciate you listening. We always do. We'll do a Groovy Donuts Twitter question show on Thursday night, so I'll get that out.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. We'll be right back at it. We appreciate Front 43 and Cask & Company. Again, great place to go to watch a game. Great MSU specials. Just had them last night. Just had a great sushi bowl from Front 43 and Cask & Company. Appreciate Skyman. If you're still listening to the show, you know all about Skyman, and likely you're on your second edible. Go to Skyman.com for location information and specials. Thanks to Hopcat as well. And we'll talk to you in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.